at this point, if we bring in Caroline from Ford and Slater, just to give you an overview on who Ford and Slater are. Ford and Slater are a premier dealership and service provider who are dedicated to delivering excellence in the commercial vehicle industry. So they've been established with a commitment to quality and customer satisfaction, and they've grown to become one of the largest independent DAF truck dealers in the UK. So joined by Caroline, and Caroline is the Purchase Ledger Manager at Ford and Slater. So Caroline, welcome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much. I guess if we start off just by getting a view on your role and what you actually do there as a day-to-day purchase ledger person.
Yeah, we oversee here at head office. We have a head office based in Leicester. We've got 13 sites that I'm responsible for across the southern regions, as we call them. And we're responsible for getting all those invoices for all those sites through our systems and paid timely on a monthly manner.
Okay, thank you. And I guess, compliance is a massive factor as an umbrella over all of that, right? So the actual process and how that is managed, compliance factors into that heavily, I know.
Yeah, it does. We've obviously got to make sure all our documents are stored with regards to VAT for 6 years. If we went onto a paper system, the volume of invoices we get through that would just be an absolute nightmare. And also obviously making sure that every invoice follows our audit processes, our internal audit processes. And the workflows that are set up in DocuWare enable us to do that really, really easily. Once we've booked a document in, it automatically goes through those automatic workflows for each manager at every level to sign off where necessary. And as you said earlier, we can see back who's had those work invoices, where they've gone, who's had them. If it's still sat on someone's workflow, we can see who's got it and why they've still got it, if they put a note or whatever on it. So from a client compliance point of view, yeah. And again, it's all safe and secure.
So I guess that's a good question to lead into around what if. So from a compliance perspective, what's the implications of not being compliant to Ford and Slater? So you've just mentioned there about it being secure and being able to find information and so on and so forth. What's the implications if you're not compliant?
If we're not compliant, if it makes our life so much easier when we have auditors in. So if we weren't compliant, if there's any data protection breaches, obviously the fines involved there can be horrendous. And also, as I say, it makes our audits, whether it's an HMRC audit or just our normal annual audits, so much easier because documents are available just at the click of a button. Like previously said, we spent so much time trying to find a document if it was misfiled, someone had taken it out the folders to borrow it for some other reason and never put it back. This way, that's all eliminated.
Sounds good. And I guess you've obviously seen the benefits. You've seen the benefits now in finance. So I guess a question for you would be, what's next for Ford and Slater? So are there other areas you're looking at kind of using DocuWare to help with compliance?
Yes, both with compliance. We realised after putting all our purchase ledger invoices through DocuWare, the time it saved us within the office was unbelievable. And then so we looked at our company credit cards. We've got approximately 70 staff with company credit cards. And getting that data from them on a monthly basis of what their spends were on the credit cards, what it related to, with all the receipts that needed to go through with those, because obviously you've not only got VAT implications on that, you could also have PAY implications on some of the spends on those. We're looking at getting all the company credit cards on an expenses system through DocuWare as well at the minute, to see if we can cut down on the manual implications that we have with those credit cards.
Okay, so more to come.
Hopefully.
But I guess it goes back to that point that I made on the slides earlier around it. There's lots of areas within organizations that have those processes that can be quite timely, require people's time, effort. And I guess if we go back to the AP bit, so you mentioned around the amount of time that's been saved. So what are the staff members doing now with the additional time that they've been able to save?
They're engaging more actually in the actual ledgers, so they can check their ledgers are right. They're getting reconciliations done a lot quicker because everything's available there on DocuWare. If they haven't got a document passed, they've not got to put phone calls into somebody to say, why haven't you passed this document? It's there on the system. They can see someone's got it, and hopefully that member of staff has put a note on it, which means when a member when one of our suppliers rings up, we've got information there to hand as to why we're not paying something at a particular point.
Yeah.
So of course we've been able to give them other tasks to do, but it means our ledgers are a lot tidier as well, because they have time to spend looking at the ledgers, making sure things are paid. If we've got stuff that have gone through from somewhere else, we can look at why it's gone through. Yeah, the whole system's just been so much more, so quicker.
Yeah.
We can get documents in there straight away with dragging and dropping them straight into the document trays, whereas before we'd have to wait for a bureau to upload that for us.
So I guess that's a good point around the adoption from a user's perspective. I mean, have people welcomed this? Has there been any resistance to it? What's the user pickup been?
The user pickup's been really good because it's been quite instant. It's really user friendly. They can see where a document is. It's just, yeah, it's a nice system to use. So we've not really had any resistance. And bear in mind, we did have a system in that we were using from another company. So we were concerned about moving them onto another system, in that, you know what it's like, people don't like change.
Yeah.
But I've got to say we've had none of that. And in fact, yeah, it's been a big benefit. They've all preferred this system over the one we were using.
This is good news. And I guess my last question, and sorry to put you on the spot here,
No,
but I'm going to ask it. What would happen if we took DocuWare out of Ford & Slater today?
Oh gosh, I remember using paper-based when I first came to Ford & Slater. It was horrendous. Oh gosh, it would have such big implications on us as a not only as a department but as a company. Really would, because we can get things done so much quicker with it. As I say, we can drop an invoice in there. It can be in there within 5 minutes and down in a department, moved on to the next person in the workflow within 5 minutes, whereas before that was taking us a good day, 2 days to do, because a bureau was doing it for us. And we can alter workflows. If someone leaves and we need to put someone else's name in there, we've got the ability to do that, whereas before, that again, that was having to be done by a bureau. Going back to paper would just be horrendous.
But don't worry, we're not taking it out.
Thank you, please don't. I'll be off.
Look, Caroline, thank you so much for joining us. We do really appreciate it.